Thank you.
My name is Alana Diedrich. Like the previous questioner, I have both a process question and a question of clarification about the...
I'm sorry, we need to keep to one question, so if you decide which one you'd like to ask.
Well, you didn't explain something in the slideshow very clearly, so... but my more important question, I think, is for both of the two open public comment periods, if I understood correctly, one is for the scoping and one is for a comment on the EIS draft. You mentioned that those two open comment periods for the public would consist of something between 60 and 90 days each. And my question is, can those two public comment periods be extended? That might seem like a long time, but 60 to 90 day time for public comment on such a gigantic project that will affect this area for as long as human civilization lasts in this area is, so of such enormous magnitude that I really think at least a 6-month period would be fair for both of those two comment periods. Is there any possibility that we, as the public, can request that and have that request met?
Both SEPA and NEPA?
I can answer that slightly. So the first slide was on the scoping comments, and that was 30 to 60 days. The SEPA regulations and expanded scoping indicates 30 days typically. The NEPA regulations, I believe, indicate 60 days, and that's why this slide said between 30 and 60 days. It's likely that the longest allowance that between that time frame that we'll decide to move forward with that is the scoping comment period associated with it. I'm also aware that you can extend those in certain circumstances, but at this point, when the public participation plan is laid out and the scoping notice is issued, I would anticipate that the comment periods would be between the 30 and 60 day for the scoping and the 60 and 90 for the draft EIS.
Does the Corps? Sorry. Okay, next question.
Terry Wexler. I have a process question. I appreciate the GPT website that the county's put up. I assume the 2012 documents will miraculously reappear one day. Thank you, John, for posting the permit application so we could read it before the meeting tonight. I'm wondering during commenting, is it possible that just as you're setting up the correspondence page now, if you could post comments as they're received as quickly as possible under general categories of types of comments, rail impacts, pollution, rail impacts at grade crossings and traffic, that sort of thing, as a resource for the public for reference and in a usable format so that, because not everything you put on your website can be cut and pasted, that would be a useful tool as well. Is that something you've considered doing as you're receiving comments during the scoping period?
I think I can get that one as well. We've had some internal discussions about how best to move forward with the public participation when the comments come in. And it's likely that the consultant will be integrating a website between Ecology and the county's website so that there's one main focus website for the proposal to go through and the public to go at. So we'll take your comment about trying to figure out a way to host those as soon as possible and in a readable format and a usable format as we prepare that public participation plan.
Okay, thanks. Jeannie?
My name is Sonny, and I have a question for Tyler, I believe, but I need to establish first my understanding to be correct. I believe that you said that the applicant would perform further studies if necessary?
Yes.
How can that be impartial?
And I want to, the applicant will prepare those studies or may prepare those studies, but those studies will be reviewed by the agencies and the expertise on the agencies, not just the county or the Department of Ecology, but other state departments and the Army Corps for accuracy and inclusion in the EIS. And if there's additional information needed that wasn't provided by the applicant in those studies, either the consultant will take care of that or the agencies will provide that as well.
What you need someone else?
Is Corps want to respond to that one as well?
Well, the typical process is, and I think what Tyler is getting at, primarily when we do an EIS, it's working directly with the applicant. We get a lot of information in because they've already done studies ahead of time. If additional studies are required, the applicant will definitely have to fund those. Whether or not the applicant actually undertakes that study remains to be seen. We may determine that there's another group out there that's already started a study that's valid to apply to the point. But the main point is, and this to reiterate what Tyler said, is that any study we use, whether it's prepared by the applicant's consultants or another third party or anybody else like that, is intensely reviewed and peer reviewed to ensure accuracy and applicability.
Okay. Thank you. Scott?
James Bachmann. So I think that I can speak for most of us that we don't have a lot of faith in our federal, state, and local regulatory agencies of taking our best interests and our planet's best interests to heart when making decisions. So to talk about what has everybody sort of been bringing up, we don't necessarily trust that any of you or anybody involved in this process is going to do what's best for us, because this, throughout the history, that's not really been happening. So you brought up these no actions that could occur throughout the process. What are some examples of some things that would create a no action so that we can stop this thing from happening, because we will not allow this to happen no matter what? So what are
So I think I'm understanding, you're asking about no action alternative, but go ahead.
Yeah, no action has sort of a special meaning within SEPA. I'm going to pass the microphone to Brendan to talk about the no action alternative. I think what you're asking about, again, is something that I addressed in one of the earlier questions, which is substantive SEPA authority and the exercise of substantive SEPA authority. Again, any agency that's including the Whatcom County that's making a decision on the permit can look at the EIS, and if there are unmitigated impacts, significant environmental impacts, then the agency can make the decision to deny the permit. What can citizens do? I think you do what you're already doing, which is to send letters to the governor, send letters to the agency heads, send letters to the people who will be making decisions, and let them know that your voices are heard. This is sort of the technical team and the legal team up here. We're not the team that's going to be making decisions, but in terms of getting to the decision makers, you guys should just continue to do what you've already been doing pretty effectively.
And just one aside is that the scoping period is the time to start giving the comments. So, okay, next. Oh, sorry.
Well, I could explain a bit about the term no action. It's a requirement, part of the methodology for producing an environmental impact statement. And you basically compare the project itself with a future without the project. It's a way of looking at the impacts. So the use of the term in an environmental impact statement is sort of more of a methodology thing. I understood the context in which you meant no action. I think I get what you were referring to.
Okay. All right, Jean?
My name is Amy Glasser, and I live on the Custer Spur. So I have to clarify first with you, Tyler. You said the spur was not developed, so what's my house? That will come. No, wait. Don't answer. That's not my question. That's just a exactly. That's a rhetorical question. There are a lot of houses on the Custer Spur. My questions are, where are the economic impacts and the health impacts going to be addressed? Environmental study doesn't necessarily, and none of your lists talked about health impacts to people and the environmental impacts to the county, that there's new news that maybe this isn't actually going to bring the jobs that they're saying we will. So where's that getting?
Yeah, I'll talk about the health impact associated with it, and maybe pass it down for the economic side as we move in. Then maybe Randall can talk about it from a NEPA standpoint. The agencies have been discussing the health impact side of the proposal, and internally from the county standpoint have been working with the health department to verify that the consultant that comes on board has expertise in that area, as well as we move forward through the scoping notice, there will be acknowledgement in that scoping notice of those health impacts. But it's important that if you have opinions on how far that should go or how it should be integrated, that you use the scoping process to the best ability on where you think those health impacts should go.
Environmental impact statement includes health impacts and economic impacts.
The EIS has the authority to cover health impacts associated with it.
Are you going to be covering health impacts?
Okay, just,
And I thought I answered that, but maybe I wasn't clear enough. The agencies have been discussing that, and when the scoping notice comes out, the public will have an understanding of yes, there will be a health impact side of the EIS, but it's very important that you participate in scoping. If that doesn't go far enough, or doesn't go...
okay, hang on just a minute.
But, right. So then you had another question about the economic side of it. And if I could pass it down to Randall if he wants to talk from the NEPA side.
Well, oh yeah. From the NEPA perspective, what we're evaluating is impacts to the human environment. And so the use of environmental impact statement, nowadays when people think environment, they're thinking of the natural environment. But it's the whole range of the human environment. And so yes, we do include things like impacts to human health, socioeconomics, a wide variety of things like that. And again, I want to reiterate what Tyler said. Until we complete the scoping process, we don't know exactly what's going to be in the EIS or to what degree it's going to be evaluated.
Thank you.
All of you guys are so environmentally conscious. How could you even say?
Okay, that's enough. Thank you. Scott, you have a question?
Yes, hello, my name is Dan White, and it's a follow-up question to one that you received just a few minutes ago about the flow of information to the public. It's nice to know that the application you received yesterday will be available on your website. Will the other information that you've received to date, and I understand you've got a big flow of letters and comments coming into you this year and last year, will those go onto your website, including the Corps' finding that this is a significant impact?
The county's been working diligently on making sure everything that comes into the county and being correspondence is shown up on the website, including all of the emails that are sent that are associated with it. There's been a lapse for 2012 that was just transferring over information and scanning and getting the information, and it's really just an administrative function on why for the last week or so the website hasn't been shown. But there has been a diligent effort to make as much information public so that you as the public can review it on the website rather than having a continual interaction with staff. Everybody felt like that was the most efficient way to move forward with it. So the county specifically will be moving forward to take steps to make that information as public and available to the public as we can as we move forward.
In regards to our determination of significance, I believe that is posted on the MAP team website that the Office of Regulatory Assistance has up for the project. And I've heard it's also on Ecology's website.
Thanks, Jeannie.
Hi, Michael Short, Bellingham. I'd like some clarification on what is the content of an environmental impact statement. And my predecessor asked a question, which was going to be my principal question too. I've not seen an environmental impact statement yet that addresses health impacts. Environmental impact is land use, quality, maybe air quality. I've not yet seen one that affects how it impacts health, such as asthma or stress or anything like that. This is going to be the first time that an EIS addresses these issues, as far as I know. Can you clarify?
Like you had two questions, one what was in the EIS and the second in the health impact. So
I don't know which EISs you've looked at. There was a big EIS that was done for 520, and health impacts assessment was done for that, although I think there was a separate state law that required a health impacts assessment. I think what Tyler said earlier is that there is legal authority, and there has always been legal authority to look at health impacts under the umbrella of SEPA. We're hearing a lot about health impacts in the context of this particular proposal. For some of those other EISs that you looked at, it's possible that folks weren't concerned about health impacts and the agencies separately didn't identify any health impacts, but the authority to look at health impacts under the SEPA umbrella is certainly there.
Okay, thank you.